if the richer people, if the people who has power doesn't move, doesn't do anything, it's impossible for the poor people get out of the poverty. We need to have the help of people like ourselves to help those people. It's fair that who has more money pays more taxes. For me, it's just simple as that. There is no one can convince me that the middle class should pay more taxes than the rich people. No, for me, it's as much rich you are, you need to pay more taxes. For me, it's clear. But we need to have a strong state to decide in a technical way where the money should go, to the public schools, in this state, in that city, and etc. So I believe that we need to have these three forms: impact investments, philanthropy, and taxation. And in taxation, the richer people should pay more than the middle class and the poor people. For me, it's just so simple.
Future Hacker. Life. Path. Future.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Future Hacker. I'm your host, Maria Taide, and today we're exploring the intersection of the business world, the activism, and happiness with João Pacífico. João is the founder and CEO of Grupo Gaia, co-founder of the education NGO Gaia Plus, a board member of Greenpeace Brazil, and an advisor to other NGOs. He's the author of Onda Azul, which means a blue wave, and Seja Líder Como o Mundo Precisa, which translates to something like be the leader that the world needs. He's a renowned speaker and a social media influencer with over 600,000 followers. Join us as we uncover the power of positive impact and leadership in today's world. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode. And as João would say, follow us to get knowledge and share us to spread the knowledge. You know, I completely stole that from you, João, and I thought it was brilliant. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me, Maria. I'm very happy to be here and to share opinions, ideas, and everything. And thank you for everyone to listen to us.
You know, I'm especially delighted to have you today because I think that there's so many important topics that they're, very controversial, but that I believe that deep down, people are somehow aligned, but the methodologies and how to do it is the things that get into the way and all the controversies that we have out there. But let's begin by the beginning, as I usually say. Let's kick things off. Could you highlight the milestones and turning points in your journey that have been important in shaping who you are today? Let's talk about how you got there.
Oh, wow. It's a very tough question. Well, I'm a privileged person. And the t-shirt that I'm wearing today is written privilege. When you think something is not isn't a problem because it doesn't affect you personally. So we have many people in Brazil that has many privileges, and for these people, many problems in the society that we have is not a problem because it's not a problem. For instance, in Brazil, we have 33 million people starving, and I have meals, and my kids have meals every day. So for us, it's not a problem. But if we just count on these people to get out of the starving situation, is impossible. So we need to be with those people, and not because we are a better person or a worse person, because we are humans. We are humans. So I'm gonna start talking. I'm a white man that I was born in São Paulo, Brazil, and a middle class guy, really. And then I started to work in the financial markets in 1999, in the middle of a bubble of the capital markets. It was very interesting because I always have access to very smart people, and it's part of me because I could get touch with these very, very intelligent guys, and it's also a privilege to be with those guys. But in 2009, in 2008, we had a huge crisis in the financial market, in the worldwide crisis. And then I realized that at that time that the financial market, the capital markets, is not humanized. Oh, how is not humanized? For most of the people over there, every person is just a number. It's just a number. And to fire someone is like to delete a cell in Excel spreadsheet. So, let's fire these people. Let's fire 30% of the company. And what is it necessary to fire off those people? No, at that time it wasn't. So then I realized that I would be owner of my own life, and and then I decided to start my own company. But I didn't have money at that time, really. Uh, but then happened something very interesting for me, is that I found out I found a client, a big client that would support the initial of the operations. So it would be wonderful for me.
Yes.
So start a company with a client, wow. And then on March 18th of 2009, I started Gaia. And in the following day, the first day of the company, 19th of March 19th, this client said, we will no longer continue this deal. So in the first day, I lost my first client that was supposed to pay all of the bills in the beginning. But I'm very excited about everything. Okay, you are not paying. So, and at that time they had a fine to pay me. Okay, because we had an agreement, then they would pay the fine. Okay, and I continued to go to other clients, and in 3 months we were paying ourselves. But then, about 4 or 5 months later, I realized that those people were some very bad guys, and thanks God it didn't. First client, so it was good for me, and I'm very grateful for those guys because they give me the courage to be to start the company, and then we didn't have any relationship, so it was wonderful. So I started Gaia as a company in the financial markets to be in the beginning. My first idea was to be a company in which everyone could be happy, a humanized company, looking for every person as a person, as every human being as a human being, not as a number or a machine just to make more profit. So I started Gaia like this, and then it's how can I say, it's a journey. And then in 2013 I started to study positive psychology, which is the science of happiness. And then at that time you created 10 values for Gaia, and the first one is practice gratitude, smile and make others smile, be kind of others. Well, 10 values, and inside the financial market, and it's not something that you put in the wall or you just write a book. It's something that we live. The values, and it's very strong for us, and all of the clients and all of the partners, everyone was seeing what are those guys are doing in the financial market, in the egocentric materialistic capital markets. They're talking about happiness, we continued this journey. And then in 2014 we became one of the first B Corps in Brazil. B Corps is a certification for companies that do the world better. And then we are one of the first ones.
Have a good social impact, yeah.
Exactly. So we are, in 2014, we also created our first NGO, Gaia Plus. We have 10 years of Gaia Plus. And 5 of the last 6 years, we are among the best NGOs in Brazil. We do a wonderful job with the kids, very poor kids. And then in the 2016, 2017, I started to create, to use the financial markets to cause a positive impact in the life of the person. So how can we decrease the inequality? How can we regenerate the environment? And then we started to this wave of impact investments. And then in 2021, I splitted Gaia into 2 companies. One would be the future of Gaia, which is the impact investments, and the other was the past of Gaia, but had a value over there. And then I sold all of the past. The company was a very profitable company. I sold it, and then I decided to donate almost 100% of this value to an endowment fund, and then I also donated the company to an NGO. So I'm no longer shareholder of the company. Right now, I work for an NGO with an endowment fund, doing the world better with impact investments and trying to impact every place, because this is what makes sense for me and for the society, I think.
Yeah. That's such a story, João. And I have so many questions for you. And that's why I was so excited to talk to you. So many questions. So I want to start on a lighter side, right? Your writings, including your books, your articles, and even your speech, you are a big preacher of happiness, right? And valuing people. But so those articles, those content often highlight the importance of leadership intertwined with happiness. However, in today's society, where social media amplifies this pressure to appear perpetually happy, do you think there is a risk that promoting happiness as this ultimate goal could, paradoxically lead to increased anxiety, dissatisfaction? How can you balance advocating for happiness without contributing to this pressure that has the opposite effect in people's mental health? You know what I say?
Yeah, wonderful. Your question is wonderful, Maria, because when we study happiness, you avoid the toxic positivity, which
Okay.
let's do. So the serious study of happiness, we understand that everyone has how can I say sentiments or feelings. Sorry for the English.
Feelings, yeah.
Yeah, feelings that are not how can I say desagradáveis, uncomfortable feelings. Sorry.
Unpleasant, right? Yeah.
Present, exactly. Everyone. So everyone can be sad, angry, or whatever, and it's important. There is a professor of that he used to be a professor of Harvard. His name is Tal Ben Shahar, and he says that only two kinds of people doesn't have this kind of unpleasant feelings, which are the dead people and the psychopaths. So if you have these bad feelings, you are alive, and it's good. It's good. So this is very important. And when you talk about happiness, there is another study that says that everyone that are always looking for happiness, these people are less happy than the people who focus on the activities. So this is why we work here in Gaia, not talking, oh, we need to be happy. We try to show to the people the importance of the gratitude. What is gratitude? It's when you recognize something good that happened to you. So gratitude is something very important. It's very, very good for us, because then you start to create link with other people. Gratitude is wonderful if you can feel gratitude, and you can train your brain to feel gratitude. So this is wonderful. And if you are a grateful person, you're going to be happy. So the happiness is not something that you go directly. It's something that you go through other ways. So this is why we try to, you can see here, besides me, practice compassion with knowledge. This is the 11th value of Gaia. This is the last one that we have created last year. Compassion is wonderful when you can be a compassionate person. And there is many studies showing that you can develop in you the compassion. And what is compassion? Is when you have the empathy with other person, and you are gonna act, you are gonna have an attitude to avoid the suffering of the other person. And it's good, it's wonderful when you try to avoid the suffering of others. So when you talk about happiness, it's not the happiness of Instagram or Facebook. Oh, let's be happy. My day is wonderful. I'm in a swimming pool today in a Wednesday morning. No, happiness is when you serve others. And in your job, the same thing. When you can have a job in which you're going to make the world better, when you're going to decrease the inequality, when you're going to do something that feels inside you, it's wonderful. So this is something because this is why I have studied happiness in the science point of view, not in the self-help
Now, bringing happiness to the corporate world. As we know, KPIs end up playing this important role in shaping the workplace cultures and values. Like it's evident that metrics and how people know that they're being measured can influence whether a work environment becomes nurturing or toxic, right? So there are some companies that, depending on the metrics, people they have to compete against each other, and it's just a toxic environment, right? You win when the other loses, right? So with this in mind, could you share if you have any specific KPI or any performance measures in your companies that you've adopted to foster a positive culture and support employee well-being? And how have these strategies helped in creating a healthier work environment and improving not only employee satisfaction, but also, your company's metrics?
Yeah, wonderful. We have each 3 months something in Gaia called Gaia Bússola, which is translating to Gaia Compass. And we say that in Gaia, we don't have a Waze or Google Maps. What is a Waze or Google Maps? You know exactly the time in which you are going to be in the next point and the exactly time that you're going to be in your final destination. When you have a compass, you know the direction, but you don't know exactly what time you're going to be there. And our life is not a Waze. It's impossible to predict what's going to happen in the following year, in the following 3 years, or in the following 5 years. It's impossible. So this is why we don't have we need to do 10 deals in the next quarter. It's impossible to know this. So we know the compass, we know the direction. Oh, the direction is this one. And if we can have a mountain in the middle, we can have a river, we can have some stones, and then we are going to change a little bit our way, but we know where we are going. So in Gaia, we work with a compass, with the direction. We know the direction. Everyone in the company should know the direction of the company. This is the direction. And also, we have our value number 8 says that it should strengthen the group. We are against the competition. We are against the competition inside the company. Everyone should be in the same place, working together, helping each other. And if someone is a toxic employee, he will no longer work with us, because we understand that for our mental health and for our performance of the company, it's much better when everyone is going to the same direction. And then, and if you have an environment in which everyone helps each other, it's much better for our mental health, for the world, for the company. And in the past century, it was a CEO called Jack Welch, and he was everyone applauded him, and he had a rule which was something like 20, 70, 10. And in the end of each year, the best 20% of each group inside the company would be promoted, the 70% in the middle would be there, and the worst 10% is going to would be fired. And it's very bad for the mental health of everyone. Because you know that inside the group, if you have a group of 10 employees, one of these guys are going to be fired. So it's like you are in a lion's cage trying to survive. It's very bad. Of course, in the short term, you can have a better return, but come on, we are human beings. It's bad for everyone to be in a war every day trying to survive. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I'm curious. There's this new movement. If I'm not wrong, it started last year, and it's being tested by a couple of companies in different countries of having this, 4-day working days in a week. Like, did you guys try? What's your thought about that? I personally don't have an opinion formed yet. I'm pro flexibility, not necessarily how many days and how many hours, right? Did you guys test these 4 days in a week or not? And why not, or why so?
Yeah, we didn't test, but what I believe is that suppose you have 4 days, 4 terrible days, and then 3 days off. Well, come on, doesn't make sense also.
Yeah.
So I here in Gaia we have a lot of flexibility. This is important. So we have a home office. The people come here. We try to be in touch once a week. For the people who lives in São Paulo, we have people that lives in other cities. Okay, then we don't meet personally, but we try to be personally together on Mondays. This is the day that we try to be together because we like people. We like to hug people. We like to change ideas, not just in the computer. So I like to meet people. So I came every day to the office, but few people come every day. So I understand that it's very important to have flexibility, understand the particularity of everyone. So supposing someone lives far from the office, so for this person it's better to be in their home, and it's okay. Others, I live very close to the office, so for me it's pretty simple to come here. And also it's very we need to take care of the people, understand each one as an individual, and how is the work in the everyday is something that is very toxic, is very stressful, or it's light, or everyone is smiling. Or even in the, of course we have problems, we have challenges every day, we have it, but we can deal with these problems in a gentle way, in a kind way, or as a, oh, we have a problem, come on. Oh no, doesn't it will not help ourselves. So I believe that the most important thing is the way in which you treat each other in the office. You can work 5 days a week and be very happy, and you can work just 3 days and can be a nightmare these 3 days. So I prefer to focus on the people here likes to work, and we do many different things. For instance, next week we're taking everyone to go to the south of Bahia. We're gonna go to see the beach, the wonderful beach, but also the plantation of smallholder farmers. So to see cocoa, how they plant, very vulnerable people that lives there that we are helping with credit. So we're gonna go there. For everyone in the company is gonna meet those guys, and then they can understand better. Not just because if you stay the whole day in front of a computer, you can't understand the world. When you're gonna travel, you're gonna see the people, you're gonna put your feet on the land, see the plantation, see the problems, listen to people, then you have a better view of the world.
Yeah, definitely. So now talking about so a positive impact and the corporate world, right? And I usually talk about that here in the podcast, that we're going to soon have a new consumerism, a new way to consume with the new generations to come. We say that making a positive impact in the world soon will be something mandatory, not only this competitive advantage or a marketing scheme, right, in the coming decades. We say that people will start voting with their wallets, so they're choosing the companies that actually walk the talk. But still, we're a little far from that world. And it's amazing how obvious things like ESG are still being questioned. And I think there's a lot of fault in the way that the market is overcomplicating metrics around the world, and the long-term results many people are not willing to pay for. So in the context of rising consumer demand for ethical practices, how do you navigate the tension between long-term ESG commitments and short-term shareholder expectations? Is the involvement of owners and founders like yourself critical for driving systematic change? Because as far as I know, we do have many people like you, but it's still the exception, right? So how to balance that, the long term versus the short term? Is this something that the owner has to be willing to pay for?
Yes, I this is something that I'm very worried about, because when you see the people that has power today in the world, that has economic power, they are not worried about the future. They are not worried about their kids. They are just willing to have a better quarter results, and it's crazy. It's very crazy. They are not worried about the climate change, which is in front of us. We are very close to a non-return point. in Amazon, in many places. I have some expectation in the next generations, because our generation is they are doing the same. It's very bad. It's very bad because when you talk about some problems that we have, and even in the climate change, each day is we are losing the days, and there is a point in which we are going to have many problems. I don't see even in the financial market and in big corporations the people worrying about this. We saw some years ago BlackRock saying about the importance of ESG, etc., and then they came back, and right now they are not worried about this. They are just willing to have more money. BlackRock, for the ones that doesn't know, is one of the biggest, or I believe the biggest investor in the world. And when Larry Flink started to talk about this, and then we're very happy. Oh wow, wonderful! BlackRock is talking about the importance of looking the whole world, and then they came back because of the pressure of investors. I believe that we need to try to give knowledge for the people to understand that it's much better to have a world in which we don't have this climate crisis, a world in which there is no one that is starving, a world in which there is no misery, and what happens. And I see in Brazil, the people who has more power, they try to convince others that it's just a matter of if you want to be rich, you just need to work more, and it's impossible. This how can I say in English? Neoliberalism or new liberalism? How to say?
Yeah, I think something like that.
Right, and they are very good in communication. But my expectation is that the new generations is gonna think differently, and of course, as you said, consume in a different way, and then and they're gonna force the companies to change the way in which they are doing the things.
And still talking about the big corporation sphere, right? We have the trends. So now we have the trends of initiatives like let's purchase carbon credits, and they end up overshadowing more direct actions to reduce environmental impact. What's your stance on the efficacy of those indirect measures versus tangible operational changes, community support efforts, things that you could be doing right there, where your fabrics is the community around it, So it seems to me that sometimes it's just getting to the shortcut. So let's not change everything, but we're buying carbon credits and we're checking the list. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah. The driver of the market is greed. And then and greenwashing drives also the marketing. So we need to be environmental responsible. So let's buy carbon credit. And then there is a market, and many people make a lot of money in carbon credit, and no one taking care of the indigenous people that are protecting the nature. It's crazy. So unfortunately, I believe that when you see the companies and big companies, and I talk to those companies. I'm not an outsider, an activist. Yeah, I'm an activist, but I'm inside the market. I'm in Faria Lima, which is the Brazilian Wall Street. I know those guys. I talk to those guys, and then they are worried just to check the ESG. S. There is a new woman here. Check. We have a balance sheet audited by PricewaterhouseCoopers, and we can remember that PricewaterhouseCoopers (PwC) was auditing Americanas. Americanas is the responsible for a fraud of 50 billion reais in US dollars, 10 billion reais of fraud, and the ones that controls Americanas is Jorge Paulo Lemann. He's Jorge Paulo Lemann, Marcel Telles, and Betsy Cupira. Three of the most richer guys in the history of Brazil, and they are free, they are happy, they are in Swiss. So it's crazy. And then this is why I believe in the next generation. And I try to, one thing that the people are kind of uncomfortable with me, because I look like those guys. I'm a white guy in Faria Lima. I can talk their language, the language in terms of the day-to-day. I study in the same schools of those guys. I worked in the capital markets for 25 years. And then I'm talking about that is against what they're saying, what they are doing. And of course, it's the people stays a little uncomfortable with me. And okay, I understand, I completely understand. But I try to show to those people in social media, in books, in articles, in speeches. Let's think together. It would be better for our kids if the world in which they live or they're going to live in the future, if you don't have this huge inequality in which there are people living the streets, of course, the violence is going to be better. It's going to be bigger. Sorry, better. No, the violence is going to be bigger, of course. The inequality, there is a relationship between inequality and violence. So if we reduce the inequality, the life quality in the city is going to be better for everyone, for your kids. So what can you do to make the life of these people better? And if we cannot say that, as I told in the beginning, if the richer people, if the people who has power doesn't move, doesn't do anything, it's impossible for the poor people get out of the poverty. We need to have the help of people like ourselves to help those people. And this is not because we are a better person, because we have a lot of privileges and the power. And this is why I try to do every day.
So let's talk about money.
Money.
And, you have this, public stance on higher taxation for wealthy, and it has sparked attention. Naturally, many criticism, advocating for the redistribution mechanism to support societal needs, right? So, I completely get where you're coming from, right? But given the challenges of government inefficiency, corruption, right, misallocation of funds, don't you believe that directing a portion of wealth directly to social impact projects, just like what you're doing today, could be more effective approach than traditional taxation? Like discussing the strategic allocation of these funds towards impactful social programs, shouldn't it go hand to hand when discussing higher taxations? Like what are you doing with this money? Where is this money going to,
Great. This is a very important point. First of all, let's talk about the taxation of everyone. I think it's not fair that that if I pay less taxes than poor people, doesn't make any sense. So we need to pay. Let's suppose, first of all, let's forget the corruption. Let's think that the government needs to have health care. We need to have public schools. We need to have streets, and the government should raise money. And it's fair that who has more money pays more taxes. For me, it's just simple as that. There's no one can convince me that the middle class should pay more taxes than the rich people. No, for me, it's as much rich you are, you need to pay more taxes. For me, it's clear. Okay, so this is the first point. So this is why I think I need to pay more taxes, and the lady who works in my house should pay less taxes. So and then the middle class says, "Oh, I pay 27%. Oh, yeah, I believe that I agree, it's a lot. I think that the middle class should pay less taxes, and the richer billionaires should pay a lot of more taxes." So this is the first thing. Second, the billionaires try to convince everyone that the government and the state is inefficient. Of course, it's not a wonderful. But why they try to convince everyone that the state is inefficient? Because they wanna decrease the state to take control of everything, and to buy the assets of the state. This is the privatization. I believe that we need two ways. One is to invest in impact, as I do. The three ways, sorry. One is invest, impact. The second is philanthropy. And the third is taxes. The philanthropy is wonderful, but there is a problem. Supposing I have a case of cancer in my family. I'm gonna donate for cancer. But in my family, we don't have the disease of the poor people. I don't know the disease of poor people. And then all of the money goes to the diseases of philanthropy, to the disease of rich people. And the state should have the view of the everyone to decide this money should go to I don't know, this kind of disease, or to the schools of this state of Brazil, which is very far from São Paulo. The philanthropy goes to São Paulo. Who is taking care of Amapá, Acre, which is are important states? Every place is important. So, of course, we need to, how can I say, to make a pressure in the state. We need to make a pressure in the government. Of course, we need to end the corruption. Of course, but we need the state. The state is the one who we need to vote right in the Congress for president, for major, whatever. We need to vote to make pressure, and then to have good people over there to put the money where the money needs to go. But I don't know the problems of the world, of the country. We have many problems in Brazil. And the rich people are just looking like that. For instance, we are working a lot with agriculture, regenerative agriculture. We are working also with real estate for poor people. But we are not working with healthcare. We are not working with sanitation. We are not working with whatever. So I understand that we need to have philanthropy. It's very important. But if you trust in philanthropy, Elon Musk is going to decide the future of the world because he's the. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Or George.
And it will be on space. It will be in space. It's not
exactly. It's going to be
somewhere else.
Another
for very few people as well. Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense. So this is why I believe that we need to have a strong state. And the people, we need to make a pressure in the government to make good, to end the corruption, etc. But we need to have a strong state to decide in a technical way where the money should go, to the public schools in this state, in that city, and etc. So I believe that we need to have these three forms: impact investments, philanthropy, and taxation. And in taxation, the richer people should pay more than the middle class and the poor people. For me, this is just so simple.
So you advocate for this strong state, right? So what kind of state do you envision in terms of government and society? If we were to achieve a collaborative future, how would the state function? Like, how would income distribution work in such scenario? Because, we don't have, that's not what we have. We have very few examples in the world of really a good and strong and efficient states. And so, I mean, that's not I'm not being critical about Brazil, but we don't have that many good examples out there too, right? So how would you envision that?
No, when you see Norway, Swiss, Iceland, and other countries in which they pay a lot of taxes and they have a very small inequality, I believe in a state that's going to provide what is in the Brazilian constitution, which is everyone should have food, should have shelf, should have a house, should have healthcare, should have education, and the basic. And we need to talk about universal basic income, because in the near future we will not have jobs for everyone. It's very clear, and we have the AI. So, and the states should provide the basic income for everyone. Everyone should have the right to receive the money to survive, not to be rich, but to survive. And I believe that the state should provide this. And in the near future, we will have huge problems, and with the middle class, that we will no longer have jobs. And then, if we don't have states, we can't trust on the billionaires just to provide. They will not. I can't trust on those guys, really.
No, and no, you touched a point that we always discuss here, which is providing education for everybody, because we're definitely not going to have jobs for everyone with the current educational system we have, and it should be everyone's responsibility. Like each companies should be worried about educating their employee, because definitely that's not coming from the all the generations that are here right now in our current educational system, right? But coming back to increasing taxes, and before talking to you, I did do some research. I got some IMF reports regarding um, increasing taxes to decrease inequality. And one of the criticisms is that the current tax systems they present challenges in effectively taxing higher incomes, because there's those loopholes, right? So, for example, a wealthy individual can easily shift the way they report their income. So, okay, so as a person, I'm having a higher taxation. Let's change everything I have to a corporation, right? And they do have all those benefits if you're a corporate, like family holdings. So there's no easy answer. And again, your rationale, it's no brainer, right? Poor people should be paying less, richer people should be paying more. So that's not a discussion in here. The thing is that there are so many loopholes of the rich people. And you even say that, okay, so when a wealthy person says, okay, so I'll just move to another country. So that's not, there's no discussion here. There's no argument behind that. So the paying back, the idea of paying back, the idea of giving back, that's just a different chip that you should have in your brain, because there will be always ways to go into a different way if the government is simply, and then you say, okay, if a wealthy person simply leaves the country because the government is doing that, then we're losing way more than winning. So it's such a complex argument in here, right?
Yeah, I can say many aspects of this. When the people say, first of all, one thing that I like a lot is that Fernando Haddad, who is the economic minister of Brazil, he was talking in the G20, and this is a movement for many countries to be together in the taxation of the richer people. So then, if you have many countries in the same direction, then it's
There's nowhere to go. Yeah.
exactly. This is one point, very important point. But supposing just a few countries do this, in Brazil, it's much easier to make money for richer people than other countries. The interest rate here is very high. If this person takes the money
Yeah.
here to go to a country which is going to have a negative interest, they're going to lose money. Oh, I will not pay taxes. Okay, but you're going to lose money here if you don't do anything. Right now, you just lending money to the government, you're going to make almost 1% a month without any effort. So we are talking about paying taxes, just a portion of this. It's not to take your money. We will not make anyone poor. It's just the tax part of their huge gains. So it's not a, and this is one important thing. Other is that right now we have plenty of information with IT and etc. blockchain. So it's very easy to know where the money of the people are. Oh, it's in the personal, it's in the corporate, and you can tax. Brazil is one of the two countries in the world that doesn't tax dividends. So all of other countries tax dividends. Why Brazil is this is this place? So you tax dividends. In the beginning of this year or last year, I don't remember, they were talking about against the taxation of I don't know how to say in English, exclusive funds that just one person holds a fund. Is there a kind of a fund in which one person holds a fund?
Yeah.
And in the past, it used to be tax exempt. They will not pay taxes, which is a crazy thing. Oh, if you have a fund just for you, you will not pay taxes. If you are in a fund with everyone, you're going to pay taxes. Come on. And then the people are saying, oh, it's bad for the economy. And the government, the Lula government, taxed those funds. And it's working, and we are receiving
Yeah.
much more money. These funds are paying taxes. So the people try to. There is a word in Portuguese called chantaging. Chantaging. I'm
Blackmail.
trying to blackmail, exactly. So
Yeah,
this is what
blackmailing. Yeah.
blackmailing. This is
Yeah.
what these people try to do. Oh, if you text me, I'm gonna go to other country. Okay, go there. Take your company here in Brazil and move to China. Go there. No, China will not be possible. Go to the US. Okay, take your company, all of your employees, and go to the US. Let's see how it works. Of course, we're gonna make a space for new companies here. So it's just blackmailing these people try to do, and I think we need to have compassion as individuals. And the ones who said, "Oh, I will not like to pay taxes." Of course, no one likes to pay taxes. Even me, I signed this document say we need to pay more taxes. I want to pay more taxes, but it's not because I love to pay taxes. Oh yes, I paid more taxes this month. No, it's crazy. I just think it's fair, and it's fair to have a better society in which other people is going to pay less than me, and this makes sense.
Okay, so let's take our conversation to a lighter side. Um, has there ever been a moment in all your activism or your speaking engagements where things just didn't go as planned, but you ended up with a great story?
Oh, many times, many times. We are very close to the world biggest social movement called MST, Movimento dos Trabalhadores Rurais Sem Terra, the landless people movement. And when I got in touch with those guys, I saw the wonderful job that they do, and no one in the city knows those guys. No one, no one, no one, no one. And the people who has more money, they are afraid of with those guys. And then I start to visit assentamentos, acampamentos, and when I understood what they were doing, I decided to help them because I know a lot of agribusiness, which is the other side, the big plantation of soy and etc. I have financed billions of reais to inputs, soy, big, how can I say, big farmers. So I know both sides. I know very well agribusiness, very well. And I know the smallholder farmers. And I know the organic farmers. And when I got in touch with everyone, I decided to go to the ones who plant food, to the ones who doesn't use toxic chemicals, the ones who are decreasing the inequality. And then I understand the importance of reforma agraria. It's a kind of land reform which happened in the US, in the Japan, in many countries around the world. And then I started to finance those guys. I always hired a big legal counsel, a legal firm, to look all of the documentation if it's correct or not.
The due diligence, right?
Exactly, legal due diligence with everyone, with all of the cooperatives, and then I started to include these cooperatives in the capital markets. But the agribusiness and many people started to try to, well, kill me. No, not kill me is a joke, but I think they try to do
Cut you
whatever
off.
they can.
Yeah.
Cut me off everything. It's crazy, 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 crazy. They tried a lot in many instances. And I always say, if someone has anything to tell me, let's sit together. I want to listen. If there is one thing that is wrong, I'm going to get out. But tell me. And no one had the courage to sit with me to say, and just kind of, says to someone, how can I say, passando recados, saying to other people to tell me, stop to do this, stop. And I continue. We have financed more than 10 cooperatives. We have helped thousands of people, and I'm very happy. And the final of the story, we are doing the world better for these people, and and many people stayed. agree with us.
So listen, I wasn't going to bring up MST unless you talked about it, right? So now you talked about it. So my biggest question about it, and I'm just like you tell about yourself. I also privileged, and I also am one of those persons that whatever I know is based on whatever is on the TV. And so for people that are not familiar with MST, a couple of decades, I think, ago, everything we would see on the media about MST was, violence and invading lands that are, in theory, either productive or unproductive. Anyways, so in the context of movements like MST and movements like it, right? There's often this tension between political objectives and ideological foundations, right? And I think that that's one of the biggest things that gets in the way of something like MST, when political actions overshadow the core ideology behind that, ending up a very counterproductive approach. And also, while the ideology behind such movements, they might find widespread support, how do you reconcile these controversial methodologies and instances of violence that sometimes they can emerge? How can movements balance achieving their goals with maintaining ethical and peaceful strategies? And I still do, until today, have those images of a lot of violence going on, and invasions and things like that. So how can you do things like that on keeping the legal basis and keeping peaceful strategies? Or are you telling me that you've been there and it's all media invention, right? And it's hard to believe, because you see things, right? At least decades ago. It's been a while since I haven't seen anything, but how do you stand on that?
Yeah, you can see someone in the street wearing a Palmeiras T-shirt. Palmeiras is my team, and making something bad.
Here
And
as
then
well.
you can say that all of the Palmeiras, everyone who torce pro Palmeiras is
Yes,
a bad
anyone
guy.
that cheers for Palmeiras is bad. Okay, I get your point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, when you talk about a movement is not something that you have control, because it's a movement of more than 2 million people. Of course, you have 110 or 50 bad guys. Of course, you can have. But this is a story in which there is just one side of the story is being told, and one side that usually is very aggressive with others. So 2 months ago, one of the Brazilian billionaires asked me to meet MST, and then we sit together. And after 1 hour of meeting, she said, "I want to be here for more 2 hours. I want to listen more. It's wonderful what you are saying." And this is the truth. Of course, I will not tell the name. She's very famous, but she was against MST. When you talk to someone to understand, to see, it's not that thing that everyone is saying. But and I can feel in my skin, I'm a white person living in São Paulo, capital market, and I receive a lot of judgment. It's crazy. The amount of judgment that I receive. I worked in the financial market for 25 years. There is anything in my life that they can say, "Oh, this guy, no. I know I don't have any problem in my life, really." And they are judging me to help the smallholder farmers, to help the people who are planting food. So, come on, it's a story that just one side is talking about. I have recorded some videos in Instagram showing all of the story of someone, and then in the end they say, "This is MST." Because the people say, "Oh, they are very aggressive guys. They are oh, come on, it's women, it's kids, it's old people. They are working a lot, and land reform is in Constituição Federal. It's the law."
It's in the Constitution. It's in the law, yeah.
And something we don't see is the aggression of the society with those people. The aggression of the society gives to the people who are starving today, who doesn't have money to live. This is the aggression. I'm not talking about MST anymore. I'm talking about the society. This is an incredible aggression. When I come to the office, I see people living in Faria Lima, in the same street in which you have helicopters. You have people living there without any food, and it's an aggression. In São Paulo, you have more than 50,000 people living in the streets. It's an aggression.
João, I have a last question for you. And just back to a point of yours, I think that people are increasingly intolerant to listening to opinions that are against their belief, right? But the only way to change our own belief is to be opening to listening to different ideas. And getting to know more and learning more. And then you go, you learn, you listen, you learn, and you still have your same opinion, and it's okay. But at least you went, for some different sources, right? But, I have a last question for you. Looking towards the future, what changes do you hope to see in the world? And do you consider yourself an optimist or just a realist trying to do your best? I like to end it on a tone of, is there any final considerations that you have to your listeners, and how are you looking ahead?
I say that I'm a hopeful guy. I have hope. I can't say I'm an optimist or realistic. I have hope. I have hope, and I try to work to live in a way to make this hope happen. So this is what I try to do. Is not to stay seated here just to waiting for something better happens, or just to claiming, we have many problems. I try to every day to work to put my power in a way in which we can have a better world in the future, or even today. What can I do today to make the world better? For instance, today I'm gonna have a meeting with someone that's trying to help women that is making women entrepreneurs. Yesterday I was talking to an incredible NGO for Black people. So how can I put my power in the service of others? And this is make me a hopeful guy.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being with us here today. It was a delightful conversation, João. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. It was wonderful. Thank you for the questions. I love it.
Future Hacker. Life. Path. Future.